to the Sports Marketing Machine Podcast, the podcast for those working in sports looking to level up their marketing skill set so they can sell more tickets, sell more merchandise, and grow your fan base. I'm your host, Jeremy Neisser. It's episode 68. We're going to talk about flex plans and the pros and cons. A growing trend in sports is that teams are starting to sell flex plan tickets. Flex plan tickets are a set number of good any game tickets that the fans or a company can use whenever they want. Let's talk about the pros. For the fans' perspective, it's an easy understanding purchase. It's a very convenient. I buy 10 tickets. I can use them whenever I want. It's $100. It's a pretty easy transaction, and it's simple for both sides. Simple for the team, simple for the fan. I got 10 tickets. I can use them whenever I want. So flex plans provide a convenient way for fans to purchase the tickets without being locked into set games or even set seats. They often can be used on one night or a few nights throughout the season. Oftentimes, they're affordable. I remember selling these. They were coupon books in the early 2000s, and we sold them $50 for a book, and there were 10 tickets in a book. So right now, I'm seeing ranges between $50 all the way up to $150. So even your mom and pop small business can support the team, families can afford them, and they can use them whenever they want. Another pro is revenue. Teams get the ticket revenue in advance before the fan even comes to the game. And really, in some cases, teams are like, I don't even really care if they come to the game because I've already got the ticket revenue. They bought this. In most cases, they potentially wouldn't be coming anyway. Another pro would be no set seats. Now, let's dive into the cons. Revenue problems. So let's say you sold 250 of these at $100 each. That's $25,000. That's great money for any team. Here's the issue, though. You're going to have to go up against that next year. You sold $25,000 in these flex plan books. You have to go up against that next year. How are you going to go above $25,000? It becomes a very hard goals that you have to go against every year. Let me give you an example. McDonald's. Let's just say, for example, they're going to put hamburgers on sale for one day, 25 cents. They're going to sell a ton of hamburgers on that specific day. Obviously, with them being a quarter, lots of people are going to buy them. But then next year, they're going to have to beat those numbers. It's the same thing with sports teams. If you sell 250 of these at $100 each, $25,000, I love it. It's marvelous. But you're going to have to go against that $25,000 next year and beat it. Good luck with that. Another con would be, because these are not set games, there is no urgency or planning on the fan side. They have the tickets, they're sitting in a drawer. If they had tickets to say this Friday's game or next Saturday's game, they know when the games are and they know when they have to use those tickets. So they have urgency and they have the ability to know, like, I know when I have to use these games. For these tickets, there is no urgency. And in fact, oftentimes they're used in a spur of the moment. If the fans are not reminded, these tickets sit in a drawer in an office and they never get used. That is definitely a con for the team. When they are used, though, the fan has several steps to redeem or exchange the flex plans for tickets. Depending on your ticketing software, it could be 9 different steps, or they have to call the ticket office to exchange the tickets, or maybe they come to the ticket window and exchange them. It's a mess, and it's a lot more work on the fan side. Remember, we're trying to make it easier for the fans to do business with us, and flex plans can make it a little bit harder. Tracking can also make it harder. You as a team, you're trying to track ticket usage, you're trying to track how many people are coming to games, and plan for a lot of these things. When you don't know when fans are using games, these flex plan tickets for their games, your merchandise, that puts extra pressure on them, because if a bunch of fans use them on a Saturday night because it's a great crowd or a great giveaway or a great fireworks or whatever it is, your concession staff wasn't prepared for an influx of these. They're not prepared for a lot of people coming in because they were planning for the attendance that you shared with them in advance, not what they expected to see that showed up at the ticket window that night. Also, you've got people, you're trying to find seats for these folks, and oftentimes if you got a great crowd already and people come and use these, it creates a little bit more problems because you have to give them tickets to seats that are less than desirable. They're sitting in seats they didn't plan on wanting to sit in. They thought they could get good seats. It really creates a crunch when it comes to the fan experience for sure. So the other thing though is that revenue is great. We love getting that revenue in there, but it also leads to a low percentage of renewals. It makes it harder for you to market to these fans because you have no idea how they used the tickets, when they used the tickets, the combination of the process of that, if they're coming up to the ticket window exchanging them, or if they have to do the ticketing software. It just makes tracking a big old mess. So you really don't have any control on what the tickets are being used, how they're being used. It's definitely a short-term play. Now, I get it. I understand some teams need money today, and selling Flex Plans tickets allows you a lot of flexibility. You're getting an influx of cash, but then you have these people who use tickets that they're not going to renew them next year because they don't know when to use them. There was no urgency and so forth, which leads to you're not building loyalty and commitment from your fans. So, lots of great pros. You're getting a lot of money. It's convenient for the fans. Small mom and pop businesses can support the team. Families can support the team. You're getting revenue. They're not set seats, so they're not taking up seats that you can't sell. You can sell good seats at a higher premium. It gives you a lot of flexibility, but the cons are you never know when the person's going to use those. Fans could come in on days that you already have a great crowd, which really puts a hamper on your fan experience. You're not building loyalty and commitment. Tracking's a mess. You never know when they're going to be using games, and you got a high number. Remember that example of 250 of these at $100 each? That's 25 grand. You got a high goal you got to go after and hit next year. So definitely some things to think through if you're considering doing flex plans. Here's a few takeaways from today. If you plan on selling them or are currently selling them, do yourself a favor. Create a list inside of your email software, that's your Constant Contact or MailChimp or whatever you're using, of flex plan holders, and you remind them every single game or series that you're having. So if you're soccer, you're reminding them about the games. If you're in baseball, you're reminding them about that homestand. If you're in hockey, you're reminding them about a specific series that's coming up. You have to remind fans to use the tickets. This leads to a better redemption and ultimately a higher renewal percentage. So if you're planning on selling them or you're currently selling them, put that list inside of your email marketing. Another takeaway, if you plan on doing flex plans, have a clear understanding of how this fits into your fan funnel. What's a fan funnel? Ultimately, as marketing and ticket sales folks, we want to move a single game buyer to a mini plan to eventually become a loyal, committed season ticket holder. So how do flex plans fit in that process of single game to mini plan to season ticket holder? That's the thing you have to figure out. Let me give you a couple ideas. Perhaps you limit the number of tickets in the flex plan to a certain number and a only limited number of packages sold. So you say, hey, we only sell 100 of these flex plans. They are 5 tickets in the plan. So if you think about it that way, I'm only selling 100 of these. They are 5 tickets in the plan. They're $100 each. That's it. When you do it that way, you have a bunch of fans that buy 2 or 3 games a year. That's who you're marketing this to, because the next option for them is to jump to the 5 game. You're going to find some folks who are 2 to 3 game. They come a few games during the year, but you want to get them to that 5 game, but they're not ready to make that jump. This flex plan is that perfect in between. So if you say, hey, we sell these in bundles of 5, they're good any game, you can use these. We know you come to 2 or 3 games a year, you can buy a few of these packages. So if they buy a couple of those 5-game flex plans, then they start doing the math and say, you know what, it might be better for us to do that 5-game plan than do this flex plan. So you're actually psychologically convincing them to move to the 5-game mini plan. So you gave them a little bit of a push over the fence there. So you're trying to position this as that in between, that single game ticket to moving people to the mini plan. But you have to have a plan at the end of the day. If you're just selling these to sell these to make money and make revenue, how do you build loyalty and commitment, and how does this flex plan fit into that fan funnel to eventually turn them into a mini plan holder or a season ticket holder. So a few things to think about, but there you go. The pros and cons of selling flex plans. If I was taking over the team as a marketing director, I would 100% start and say, hey, we're going to limit these. We're only going to make these available for a certain finite amount of time. You can buy these during the season, but we only have a certain amount of these. So maybe 100 flex plans that fans can use, and try to help move people closer to that mini plan package. But I would sell these during the season to help supplement some cash, but also remind fans of how to use these so we have a little bit of a higher renewal percentage. So there you go. That's my thoughts. If you got any questions, I'm here to help. Happy to help you with some of your marketing. Maybe you got a question or two about flex plans and you're thinking about launching those. How should we best promote those? Have it reach out. Feel free to hop over to my website, schedule a call. It's sportsmarketingmachine.com. Until next time.